Hi, everyone. Harry here to talk about the absolute state of mayhem, panic, and I think the legal term might be clusterfuck. That is the very unenviable position of the Trump legal teams. I say teams because one of the characteristics here is with 3 indictments and 2 civil cases. He's just got different teams and different people working on them. Very few, I can't think of a serious, sophisticated client who would do that rather than turning it over to one person. Instead, Trump has all these different people working on different cases, and if there is one kind of main guy, it's the notorious, even infamous Boris Epstein, who not unique among the Trump legal team, but certainly noteworthy and not what you'd want here. A guy who basically has hardly ever been in a courtroom and doesn't know anything about, criminal defense. What's basically going on is one more fallout of Trump's being a one-trick pony. He ran as a candidate, same way he was a real estate guy. He was president the same way, and he's been a post-president legal hot water in the same way. That is, we know his management style is to have all these people around, make them jealous of one another, play them off against each other, put distance between them, but then bring them back in, etc. That may, probably not, from all we know, be good business for a real estate would-be empire, but it's a disaster for the law. So, among other things, the reporting on the lawyers says that they are all petrified that there is a snoop among them who's cooperating with the government. Nobody knows who that might be, unless what it's referring to, of course, Evan Corcoran, importantly, already has cooperated in the sense that he's complied with a lawful subpoena. He's now recused from the Mar-a-Lago case, and he's handed over 50 pages of notes that are just going to be brutal to Trump in that case. I've talked about them before. They're going to be the centerpiece. They're taken contemporaneously. They have Trump's gesticulations, everything he did and said. It made him pissed, in fact, of how much detail there was, and they just leave no doubt that he was advised you can't keep anything that's classified. No, you don't classify things that way. In general, now is the time when the pressure is turning up and lawyers are thinking about, what other lawyers are going to say about them, and even might they wind up going to jail? So you have in these notes from Corcoran clear demonstrations that he told Trump that, you can't take anything that's classified. And if Trump, as he's certainly suggested before, is going to try to say, well, that's my defense. I could classify anything. And even if I'm wrong, that's what lawyers told me. And even if they didn't, I didn't mean to do anything criminal. And the evidence that, nope, in fact, all that's wrong is going to come from lawyers' own mouths, including Corcoran and his notes. He's going to say, no, I told him very clearly, of course, he can't take anything that's classified. Same thing, by the way, when he took things from the White House. Pat Philbin and Pat Cipollone, the White House lawyer, almost certainly testified, they have testified already, that they advised him, he can't just take things away or classify them with a wave of his hand. But anyway, back to the overall lawyer situation. There's one who's had second seated one jury trial, but she's attractive, supposedly. I know as far as I haven't seen, I know nothing about what she looks like, but she's supposedly somebody who Trump likes having around because she's attractive. Then there are all these malcontents who have to put up with Epstein, and the stories vary anywhere from he's not so bad to he is a living hell who wants always to maneuver and be closest to Trump and and Trump trust him for whatever reason. So he is, when the lawyers went down to Mar-a-Lago, staged kind of intervention. Basically, it's him or us. And Trump basically said it's him. And so he stays in the driver's seat of sorts, but with all kinds of knives coming at him from different directions. Then we have, in Mar-a-Lago and the team for the DOJ, which has at least one professional lawyer who should be the person handling this all. And she wasn't even in the lead chair in the E. Jean Carroll case, though she was there. Hard to say, because remember the E. Jean Carroll case, we have Joe Tacopina. I think I've said that right. He's faded from view after a week or two. He's been pretty much of a disaster. So you just have these clusters of different lawyers who are now, first and foremost, wanting to be sure they don't go to jail. Let's just go back to the Corcoran documents. Remember, he makes Christina Bobb sign the attestation that is false. So she's going to say, he made me sign it. Then he's going to say, that's the evidence we've talked about already. No, Walt Nalta told me, or maybe Trump told me. So, it wasn't me. And I believe that you only had to look in the storage room, et cetera, et cetera. But you have lawyers who mistrust Trump, understandably, and now mistrust each other or looking at each other. Just a total toxic atmosphere, all of which is extremely favorable for Jack Smith. That's just the way you want it. People who, well, first of all, if they have to tell the truth, most lawyers will do that. Not all, most lawyers will, but that are scared of each other, scared of going to jail, and that makes them think, I better come forward and tell the truth, because it's not just a matter of my client might lose, but my liberty might go. So this dynamic of lawyer on lawyer and infighting and backbiting and mistrust, all of it is just music to the ears of a seasoned prosecutor like Jack Smith, and is likely to lead to finger pointing at a trial that is advantageous to him. You want people trying to, exonerate themselves and point in different directions and be nervous about going to jail. That's where we are now. As I've been saying for the last week or so, you read this stuff, and I think it's good to think just how will it play in court, not simply how's it playing in the grand jury. And this is all, especially given what we talked about before, the 50 pages of contemporaneous handwritten notes from Corcoran that can kind of settle things or have a certain authoritativeness. This is all really good for Smith, and for one, because assuming that it is in fact Trump who gave the orders and the like, and it sure stands to reason. Are you going to do the kinds of things that were done there, lie about a subpoena or say, don't look here or there, if it's just, unless it's the client who you're talking to? Assuming it is, that means the lawyers are going to be motivated, not to go down with the ship and to tell the truth, all of that. And probably they already have, by the way. The grand jury is basically stopped meeting. It's been pushing on 4 weeks. So looks to me like Smith has some very good stuff, and that the overall dynamic with the Trump lawyers is very much to his advantage in putting together an obstruction case, which we may be seeing pretty soon. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.